Welcome to Financial Ginger. I'm excited to be here. Cold open story. So a client called me the other day in a panic. Their husband and son were halfway to Georgia in a moving truck, and she wanted to confirm, are my husband and son covered? So here's what you need to know about moving trucks. Most insurance policies are going to limit either the size or the weight of a vehicle that you're renting. So examples I've seen on certain policies for carriers I work with, there was one that limited to 12,000 gross vehicle weight, which most moving trucks are sitting large. Like the smallest U-Haul you'll get is like 10,500, like the little 10-foot one. Most of them are like, they're up to 22,000 gross vehicle weight. So usually anything bigger than an F-350 is too large to rent and be covered by your personal insurance. So some cap by value. Some will say, hey, if you're renting a car that's worth more than 115,000 or 135,000, whatever their limit there. Some base it off of the original MSRP. Some base it off the current value. So if you're renting an exotic car in California on a sports track, double check with your insurance agent before you rent it, because I had to tell her, no, your policy doesn't cover. It's too large. Moving truck. It was a 26-footer. But there is no universal rule. So check with your carrier, because every carrier has different rules, different language. So it's really just ask your agent. If you don't know, I'd be happy to check for you or run quotes for you. So don't assume it's covered when you're already on the road, because there's a lot of times where you can't buy the extra coverage once you've already left. So check with your agent beforehand, then you can know if you need to purchase the extra insurance when you're renting that moving truck. So there's our story of the day. Today, I am very excited. I have Mr. Silas Olsen with us. Silas grew up in Utah and attended American Fork High School, where he played football and wrestled. I had a cousin that actually went all-state in California. Okay. Yeah, skinny legs, but his biceps were bigger than his legs.
Really? That's the opposite of me. Yeah. Big old fat legs and skinny little biceps.
After high school, he served a 2-year mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in, I'm going to say this wrong, Málaga.
You did great, though.
Málaga, Spain. He later earned a bachelor's degree in microbiology from BYU, graduated magna cum laude with a 3.98 GPA. In 2018, Silas partnered with his dad in the family business Olsen Roofing. The company has been operating for 28 years and works in residential, commercial, and industrial roofing. Silas is married to his wife, Kara. Kara. And together they have 4 kids, with another baby joining them in August. So 4.5. 4.5 kids. You can find Silas on Instagram at Silas_Olsen_roofing or at Olsen Roofing, which is the company account, I would assume. Yep. Sweet. Okay, before we get into the interview too much, insurance question/finance question of the day. I do this segment called Insurance Fails, but today it's not really as much of a fail. It is a finance related question that one of my friends asked me about. So the question is, and I'd love your opinions on this too.
Sure.
Should I go to school and take out student loans? So I make approximately, and I've adjusted some of the numbers here to be generic, because this is actually multiple people I know that have asked me this question. So I adjusted it based on the question my friend asked. I make about $40,000 a year right now. If I go to school and get a degree, it's expected that my income would increase to about $70,000 a year. It'll be 2 years of schooling, and I'll take out about $40,000 in student loans. Is it worth it? What do you think?
Oh, I'll tell you, I loved school. I got a degree in school.
Yeah, biology.
In microbiology.
Microbiology.
Yep. And I have not earned a cent from that degree. And I would do it again. I love school.
Yeah.
But if I don't think school should be approached as a financial investment. I think that you can learn how to make money outside of school.
Absolutely.
And I think that there's also very cheap ways to get a degree if all you're looking for is the paper. To qualify for that job. Again, I advocate for school. I loved college. I love school. Again, there's other ways to make money.
Yeah.
And you don't need that school to make that money.
Because it really depends. For me, my thought is it depends on what and why, right? Like if you're going into a hard science, like you're going to be a doctor.
Right.
Like you have to have a degree to do that. I know someone that went through like 12 years of medical school and training and residency to be able to become a doctor, was making over $500,000 a year first year after that 12 year. She had $500,000 in student loan debts when she graduated with all of that.
Right.
But she paid off, she went crazy, right? She like lived really, really cheap and paid off all of her student loans in 1 year. Right. It's like, okay, well, yeah, if you're making $550,000 a year as a super specialized brain and spine surgeon, okay, who cares that you took out $500,000? And then she worked for 6 years and retired, right? More than $3 million in the bank. That was just the first year she made. So yes, there are situations where taking out student loans are great, right? And you're able to increase it. For the average person though, you really have to consider that, right? Like my degree was in financial planning, personal financial planning at UVU. Great degree, great education. I know budgeting and investing way better than every person, right? It got me into investing in real estate when I was able to. And I now own several properties and I'm in the middle of purchasing another one. Right. So that's been useful as a tool for me to improve other areas of my life, but it really depends on, right. Is it actually going to work is it actually going to make sense for you? So a couple of thoughts I had were, if you're a parent, and you've got kids, it's like, okay, well, what is this going to detract from my ability to be at home with my kids or parenting, right? Especially if it's a 2-parent household or one parent's working and you're like, well, if I go back to school, I can work too. Okay. What about additional childcare costs you might have? Or what about the fact that you're probably going to be locked into working for 20 years to pay off that student loan? Right. It's like, hey, yeah, your income might go up, right? Like I know from my data that about $40,000 of student loans for most people usually equates to about a $450 to $600 a month payment for about 20 years. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, that's $6,000 a year, give or take, of cost that you're going to pay for 20 years. Well, if that increases your income by approximately double, obviously this situation, it's not double, but approximately double. It's like, okay, well, you're netting an extra $30,000 a year, give or take after taxes and stuff. Maybe that is worth it, but you're right. There are other ways you can increase your income than going to school.
Again, I love school, but I would say that there's other ways to get a degree and to do school without spending so much or, having to take out student
community
loans.
Colleges.
Yeah,
they're a lot cheaper.
Colleges. They're a lot cheaper. There's a ton of value in school as far as money goes, even if you're not using your degree in your job.
Learning how to learn.
Learning how to find good sources, and obviously the networking that comes from going to school, which is like irreplaceable. But
yeah, well, just for a note for me, about half the people that have been on my podcast are people I knew from college or from networking type things where it's like, hey, I went to college, I went to these classes, I went to business events. Some of the people that have been on podcasts were people I knew from ballroom dance when I was a teenager, right? Like my bulk connections that are making me money right now are people I knew when I was a teenager doing ballroom dance competitively in Utah, right? Like it's just this cool little network where once and two of the people that we've hired to work in my office were people I used to compete ballroom dance against, and now they're employees that work in an insurance agency. It's like, networking is a huge way to gain value.
I have a brother-in-law. He's trying really hard. He just graduated from WGU, which that's a cheap way to get a degree for sure.
I have two sister-in-laws that both graduated from WGU.
Well, and it's quick and it's cheap. And in any case, he's looking for jobs, right? And his route that he has in his mind is, I want to, send in my resume, look at what's on Indeed or whatever. And as I'm hearing him go through this experience and seeing it, I've reflected on my own experience in making money in my life. And every dollar I've ever earned came from a relationship I had prior to getting that job. So I don't really have any value to offer him, because I'm like, dude, I hauled hay for my uncle who has a sheep ranch as a kid, and I roofed with my dad. When I was in college, I sold TV with my brother, selling door-to-door satellite. And then after college, obviously partnering up with my dad, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
But it's all through the network that you have, at least from what I've seen and the people that I've seen that are very successful. It's through that network you have.
So I've heard this phrase, your network is your net worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like that's kind of a summary of this. So tell me if you think I'm wrong on this. My thoughts on the going to school part, these numbers, it could potentially be okay to go to school, but increasing your network, increasing your job opportunities, and knowing that you might be limiting yourself by saddling yourself with debt might be good reasons to not go to school. I've actually had this situation, almost these exact same numbers, with 3 different people in the last couple of months where they've asked me, hey, you talk about debt and budgeting and finance. What do you think? And 2 of them, I said, you shouldn't go to school. I don't think based on yours. And we talked a lot more. And one of them, I said, absolutely, you should. Like it made sense for her. So I don't know. There's my thoughts on it. Any last bits?
No, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love school. I love the network you get from school. As far as taking out huge student loans for it, I think there's other ways to do it. Yeah. Aside from taking out student loans.
Two stories that I just came to my mind. Pardon, I cut you off a little bit there. Good. One of them is I've had a couple of friends, and any of them that hear this, that have told me this, Trust me, you're not the only one that has told me this. I have multiple friends that have had over $100,000 of student loans going into medical school, and then they didn't graduate.
Ooh.
Either by medical stuff or family stuff, or, you know, like death in the family, or just burnout from like, oh my gosh, this is way more work than I thought, or more loans. And it's like, okay, if you aren't able to finish your degree, especially if you're doing a beyond 4-year degree, it's like, think about what the ramifications could be if you aren't able to, right? Like, you're still saddled with that debt, whether you get a degree. Or my situation, right? I graduated and I didn't get a job in finance. In fact, it was so bad after I graduated, not being able to get a job, and the job offers I got very, very depressed. Many of my friends know this, and I've shared this a little bit before, but at one point it was so severe, I was actually considering suicide. Oh man. Which, get help if you need it, right? Like, if you're struggling, go see a therapist, you know, talk to your friends. You don't necessarily need a therapist, but maybe you do, right? Like, whatever, I did. But your value as a person isn't just tied to your economic value. Obviously, it sometimes feels like that. But anyways, so my thought is just, right, like you were saying, you don't need a degree to make money, and don't feel that just because you got a degree, it's beneath you to, like I got into insurance eventually, and obviously you don't need a degree to sell insurance. You just need a license, which was quick for me to get, right? And I knew insurance better than your average agent because I got my CFP certification, right? Certified financial planner. And I mean, I'm not anymore. But I got the certification, and I had my 66 license and my 7 license to sell life insurance, health insurance, mutual funds, bonds, stocks, right? Like, I knew all of that stuff. I just wasn't able to get a job. And so got into insurance, and here I am 7 years later, killing you to buy insurance for me, because we crush it. Great rates, great options. But so I don't know. That's my 2 thoughts on the school side. But anyways, let's get into the bulk of this. Let's get into Silas. So, you've been roofing for what, 9 years now?
Full-time for 9 years. I started roofing when I was 6, man. I still have a vivid memory. I was 6 years old. My dad is the man, but he had me sitting up there on the roof throwing shingles to the people shingling. And I remember being terrified, but I was up on the ridge. Maybe this is bad news for everyone here, but you know, I grew up doing whatever manual labor I could with him. And then, partnered up with him full-time once I graduated from college.
Hey, you said baling hay and throwing shingles and all that stuff.
It was a good childhood, man. It was a good time.
Dude, it's way good to be out there doing stuff and being a part of a family business.
For sure, yeah.
That's cool. Okay. Wow. So, I don't know. I'm just going to ask some questions, and if we end up going off topic, totally. So, the rage that I've been experiencing in the insurance industry for roofs has been a lot of insurance carriers quietly changing to prefer metal roofs.
Okay.
Are metal roofs worth it? Are they just a bunch of hype? Like, do they last longer?
Yeah.
Like,
they absolutely last longer. When someone calls me and they say they want a metal roof, usually my first thought is, no, you don't. Yeah. And we're going to talk about this, and
yes,
we're going to find out. I would love to sell you a metal roof. Metal roofs are more expensive. We make more money when we're doing metal roofs. But typically,
that's why you buy a metal roof.
That's right. No, that's not why. But in, you know, most of our work is Utah and Salt Lake County, and people will call and say, hey, what about a metal roof? That sounds amazing. I'm like, yeah, it is amazing. It's going to last you twice as long. Mm-hmm. It's going to cost you 2 to 3 times as much. Mm. And typically these people, you know, on average, someone owns their home or lives in their home for 7 years, right? I think that's what the statistic is.
Yeah.
But in any case,
most people move. Some statistics say it's more like 3 to 5 years.
Right.
But
so you're the one putting the investment into that roof, and you don't necessarily get the full return of the investment because you move. Obviously, it's going to add value to your home and stuff, but usually those customers, I say, these are an awesome product. It's going to last you twice as long, 2 to 3 times as long as your shingle roof. It's going to cost you 2 to 3 times as much.
Yeah.
And then very quickly they back out of it. However, we do install a lot of metal roofs, but typically it's on commercial buildings, government buildings, or if it's a cabin where it really is necessary because a shingle is going to fail based on the weather in that area.
Yeah. Well, I've seen some of these, like, so my wife and I drove out to Moroni the other day to see one of our friends, and right as you get outside of city limits, like every single house that we saw that didn't look like it was built 100 years ago, right? Anything that looked like it was post like 1995. Yeah. Every single one of them in the rural, you know, on the countryside, they all had metal roofs. Like every single one of them, like that green classic metal roof. So I was wondering, like, maybe for them, right? If they're moving out there, a lot of those people probably are intending to live in that house for the next 30 years, right? They want a ranch or homestead.
And in those cases too, I mean, shingles are just going to get blasted by the ice dams you get up in the mountains in those areas. Whereas metal is going to be able to take that a lot better than the shingle roofs. So
is it loud? I have some people that tell me, oh, having a metal roof sucks because when it rains, it's like super loud. Oh, is like that really a thing?
Well, I can't say I've ever lived in a metal roof, so I guess I don't have personal experience of sleeping in a house while it's raining on a metal roof. But I have heard people ask that and say that. When it's raining, it's loud either way, though. Yeah. So I wouldn't dissuade yourself from getting a metal roof for the sake of it being loud.
It's going to know they're way more expensive.
So, yeah.
They're expensive, but they do last way longer. Like I've told my wife if I ever replaced a roof on a house I was living in, I'd consider the metal roof option.
Yeah, and they look amazing. Like it looks awesome. Metal roof looks slick. So
I've heard some people say that it's frustrating to have a metal roof because it's harder to hang Christmas lights on, or it's more like it's easier to slip and fall off of, or compared to shingles. Like, is that true?
It's definitely the case. I mean, if there's any sort of frost on metal, it's like standing on an ice rink.
I've seen some metal roofs where there's like a little wedge every 3 or 4 yards, like so that you can put your foot on that if you happen to be at that level.
Those, I think what you're talking about, if I'm imagining it right, those are actually snow guards to prevent snow from accumulating and then sliding off all at the same time. I like thinking of them as footholds though. So. But maybe we're talking about something else. I'm not sure. So, but yeah.
Interesting. Because with insurance companies, right, like a lot of them now, especially since the August 2024 hailstorm, which is the biggest home claim event in the history of the state of Utah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was fun for roofers.
It was.
But it also sucked for actually not for insurance companies. Who cares? Insurance companies are going to make their money no matter what, right? Obviously. But a lot of them remapped their risk areas. They raised people's rates, which is obviously terrible. But a lot of them started changing how they look at roofs. So like a lot of insurance companies are starting to require actual cash value if you have old shingles or whatnot. And that's why I've noticed with metal roofs, a lot of them, they don't start depreciating the value. Like with normal shingles, a lot of companies have started to depreciate somewhere between 12 and 15 years. And what that means is instead of getting 100% replacement cost, they're depreciating it to where it's like, oh, at year 14, you're only getting 85% of the value. So if you have a $20,000 roof replacement after a major event, they're only going to pay 85% of that instead of 100%. And it gets worse and worse. Where I've seen some of these ones for metal roofs where their schedule starts at like year 35.
Really?
Or 40.
That's
or
awesome.
25 or 28, right? It's twice as long as shingle. And it's probably because they last longer.
Yeah. And that surprised me a little bit. In that hailstorm, we actually got a claim for a metal roof.
Oh, wow.
Meaning the metal was damaged by the hail, and the insurance pays out way more for that metal roof as well. I mean, obviously it's going to last longer, and you're not going to have door-to-door guys coming and finding a shingle that's blown off and it's discontinued and getting a free roof that way, which I know insurance companies
are really trying to crack
down on
changing the language.
Right. Yeah. And a metal roof avoids that, but when they have to replace them, it's way more than a shingle roof.
So it's good and bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed it's easier to get insurance, even if your metal roof's old, and it's generally cheaper.
Yeah.
From the insurance side. Obviously, maintenance might be more expensive, or replacing partially or whatever. Okay, that's good to be aware of. So I suppose if you're able to buy a metal roof, cool, because you're not paying a lot extra on that house. Everybody's got it, but if you're paying yourself to replace the roof, maybe.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. I wonder if an insurance company would ever consider replacing your roof with a metal roof if you didn't have it, because usually they want to do like kind, right? The same. It's like, oh, well, what if they probably would do like, hey, here's what a normal roof would cost. It's going to cost as much. You pay the difference. Maybe they would consider something like that.
Are you saying like the insurance would pay to upgrade your roof to metal or help you upgrade it after a claim?
Yeah, it's like, oh, maybe instead if they're like, hey, it's going to cost $20,000 to replace your roof. If you're going to get metal, maybe it's going to be $35,000.
That sounds like a great business idea that you should start hooking it up. We wouldn't mind that at all. So
that would be really interesting to do because I know a lot of people, like I've had so many people comment about, oh, metal roofs, are they really worth? That's just why that's why we spend so much time asking you about metal roofs right now.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. Okay. What is something that homeowners don't ask roofers that they probably should be asking them?
What's something that homeowners don't ask roofers that they should be asking them? Do you sub out your work or do you have your own crew?
Oh,
sometimes they'll ask us that. But just in my experience in roofing, and we've used sub crews before, 95% of our stuff is our own crews. And when it's sub crews, I have to be there and I have to be watching very closely and make sure things are done to the level that we want them to be done. You know, this is representing our company, and it's still Olsen Roofing doing the roof, even though if it's different guys. And so we prefer to shy away from that more so. But as I've seen more and more roofing companies kind of come out of the woodwork in Utah, that's the model, right? Is you have your salesmen and then you have your crews that you'll sub it out to. And there's just a little bit less quality that comes along with that. So personally, if I were a homeowner knowing what I know about roofing, that's something I would ask, I guess.
Gotcha. You want to know if they're doing it themselves, so they're subbing out.
Right.
Yeah. I suppose it's also probably important to ask if they're licensed and insured. Do you have to have a license to do roofing in Utah?
You do. And I don't know that there's a ton of guys doing it without licenses. And so I don't know if that's I have people ask me that a lot. Like, are you guys licensed, bonded, and insured? And it kind of makes me chuckle when a homeowner asks me if we're bonded. Because I'm like, yeah, and that's for this $2 million government job we have, not for your home. That, there's no bond that goes with that. But they hear their neighbors say that, and so they think they have to ask that. But as far as being licensed and insured, absolutely, you need that for a home. But they ask me that, and I think it's probably not as big of a deal because it's easy to get a license and also easy to get insurance. So
yeah. Interesting. Because that's always fascinating me, because like knowing what people have to like have training wise for all sorts of different industries and or some industries that aren't regulated at all, like home inspections. There is no bar to entry, no insurance requirement, no training requirement here in Utah.
For a home inspection company?
To be a home inspector.
Oh, really?
Yep. Here in Utah. Other states do, but Utah doesn't.
That's interesting.
It's interesting to know. Or I've seen situations where someone actually has a problem, like with like an HVAC company. It's probably the most common one I've heard, where they don't install a system right. And it's and I actually heard a story the other day about someone that had to file an insurance claim against the insurance of an HVAC company, and it was like $28,000 to rip out and replace an entire HVAC and installed completely incorrectly. So it's good to make sure that your contractors have insurance. And I know, working with a little bit of commercial insurance here and there, like if you do subcontract, every insurance company wants you to know, do you require your subcontractors to have insurance that's at least as good as your own? Because it's like, if we get a claim on us, we're going to try to pass it on to their insurance.
I mean, that's the case when we do big jobs. When I say big jobs, I mean bigger government jobs and stuff. They'll require us to have our own bonding and our own insurance, even though we're not the prime contractor on it.
Wow.
It
makes sense.
Pass on some liability, I guess.
Yeah. Whoever gets in trouble, we want to make sure everyone's going to pay for it.
Right.
That's cool. Well, I'd love to just kind of let you share whatever you'd like to share about roofing, or stories or whatnot. I don't know, like go wherever. I mean, I've got more questions, but I want to let you share.
To share. Well, and when you told me we'd be talking about this, I thought, man, what do I have to offer? But I'll share some stories of just like some success stories or principles I've learned throughout my life in other regards, but that kind of helped me in roofing as well.
Sure, that'd be great.
So, I'm going to tell you a story from the Bible first, actually.
Hell yeah.
That's right. We're going to talk about Gideon. When I was a kid, for some reason, I memorized the most random scripture in the Bible. It was Judges 7:2, but it talks about Gideon. The Israelites are in bondage to the Midianites, and Gideon is a righteous man who God chooses to help deliver the Israelites from the Midianites. So he speaks to Gideon, tells him to raise an army to fight the Midianites and conquer them to get Israel free, right? This is a huge task that he has in front of him, and a daunting task, I'm sure. Anyway, so he raises an army, and the scripture that I memorized, it goes like this. It says, "And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people who are with you are too many for me to deliver the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, mine own hand hath saved me." Now that's kind of confusing. But what it means is God is saying, hey, you have too many people in your army. You've got too much going for you. I want you to reduce your numbers, because if you conquer them like this, you'll think it was you that did it. I want you to reduce what you have going for you, so that when you do conquer them, you know it was me that did it, right? This is God speaking to Gideon. Anyway, so I memorized that scripture.
Didn't he end up having them like drink water with their hands? Something? Like river, and he sent everyone home that didn't do it a certain way.
The ones that just stuck their head in, those ones went home. Those ones got the boot, and the ones who were vigilant the whole time.
Okay.
They got to stay, right? In any case, and so the principle there being, when you have opposition, trust God and give him the glory, right? And expect miracles. And so I've had a few experiences in my life, and I say this because it all kind of leads up to an experience I had in roofing last year, but I'll tell these three stories quickly. When I was in high school, I was wrestling. Growing up, I was always a fat kid, which meant I wrestled older kids, and I got whooped all the time. But my junior and senior year, there weren't older kids anymore. So I was like, oh, sweet, I'm starting to have some success here. And my senior year was going really well, and I was winning a lot of matches. And about halfway through the year, I was in a match, and I had a really bad knee injury in that match, and I sprained my MCL. Anyway, so I'm out for a few weeks. And in a wrestling season, that's deadly, not just because of the injury itself, but because you're not being able to do the conditioning that you need to stay in shape for these tournaments that you're going to have, right? So anyways, I try to stay in shape as best I can for those few weeks that I'm out, but I come back, and my first match back, I wrestle this kid who I think I might have been better than 4 weeks before, but I get whooped. I just get destroyed, right? And after the match, I am just sitting on the stairs, and I am devastated. And so I pray, and I'm telling the Lord about my problem and what I'm experiencing. And I hear that scripture come to my mind. It says, and the Lord said unto Gideon, the people who are with you are too many for me to deliver the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, mine own hand hath saved me. And so I think, God is giving me this trial, and he's taking away from me what I thought I had going for me, so that when I do have success, I know it's from him, right?
Wow.
And the year went incredible after that. I worked my way back in. I qualified for state, and I ended up taking second place in state. I lost by 1 point. The guy was a stud. He was good. But that was way better than I should have done, because I wasn't a great wrestler, but I knew, okay, this is something that God has given me success in. And he tried to make it clear to me that it was him who was giving the success. Yeah. Okay, fast forward. This is about a year later. I'm in college, and I'm at school at BYU. My major's microbiology. And every class at BYU, they tell you it's the hardest class. And I found that out later on. But in this Chem 105 class I had, they said, this is the hardest class we offer at BYU. So as a freshman, it's my first time. I'm like, oh man, this is a big deal. This is a hard class. And in that class, it was kind of a cool policy that our professor had, that we could take a note card, a 3x5 note card, and throughout the semester, we could write whatever we wanted on that note card. We could write our formulas, we could write our cheats, we could write hints, notes, whatever. And, we had 4 tests throughout the semester. And so I'd fill out a fourth of that card for the first test, another fourth for the second test, another fourth for the third test. And then for the final, I have this amazing note card. And it's completely filled out in the smallest writing ever of every formula or hint that I would ever need for this Chem 105 final. And at BYU, when you go to the testing center, anything that you're going to take into the test, you have to get stamped, right?
Yeah, they have to stamp it.
So I go in, I get this note card stamped, and I go sit down at my seat. And somehow, between the time that I had that note card stamped and get to my seat, the note card is gone.
Oh, no.
And I'm sitting there like freaking out. I'm like, this is game time. Like, I have to do well on this test to get an A in this class. And somehow this thing is gone. So I get up, I look like in all the seats, underneath all the seats between where I had come in and where I sat, I walk and backtrack all the way back to the stamp desk, and I cannot find this note card anywhere. So after about 10 minutes of looking, I go and I sit down, and again, I just sit there and I just pray. I'm like, man, this is a disaster. I don't know what I'm going to do here. And this voice comes in my head again, that same scripture. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people who are with you are too many for me to deliver the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, mine own hand hath saved me. And so I'm thinking, well, I guess I had too much going for me with that note card, and God better do a miracle here, because I don't have anything going for me now. I'm toast here.
Is this why your GPA is only 3.9?
That's exactly. Well, and so I took that test, and I did better on that test than any test in the entire semester. I think I got like a 96% on it. Wow. And so I got an A in the class, and it was fantastic. But it certainly was a moment where I realized that wasn't me. That was God helping me there. And I'll fast forward to one last story. This was on my mission, And it's just this same theme that kind of kept coming back. So this is probably a year or two after that Chem 105 final experience. But I was a missionary in Spain, and I was transferred to go be a zone leader. Basically, that just means that you have maybe in charge of a bunch of other missionaries. Yeah, in charge of maybe 10 missionaries, or just a leader of 10 missionaries. And I was somewhat young in the mission. I was 6 months or 5 or 6 months in the mission. And it was a pretty daunting task to me, similar to trying to do well in wrestling or trying to do well on that Chem 105 test. It was kind of daunting to me. And what I had going for me, though, is I had a great companion. He had a lot of experience, and he was a very successful missionary. And he was a stud. And I thought, well, at least I have him. 3 weeks into our companionship together, another missionary on the other side of the mission breaks his leg. Our mission president calls. He takes my companion out to go join that companion's companion who's left over. And for me, we're in a driving area, and there's very few missionaries in the mission who can drive cars. So he sends a younger missionary who was a total stud, but I didn't know this at the time, right? Yeah. A younger missionary, even younger than me, has no experience, less experience than I do. And now all of a sudden we have this group of missionaries to lead, and not to mention our own area where our job is to find people, teach them the gospel, and baptize them. And I just remember I was in the car. We had kind of done a halfway thing where we met halfway, dropped off my companion so he could go to his new area, and picked up this new missionary so he could drive home, and I could kind of, get going with him in our area. And as I was driving home, I thought, this is a disaster. Everything I had going for me is gone. I've got this awesome missionary, but he's young. I'm young. We don't know how to do missionary work from a car because we've been walking around our whole missions. I don't know what we're going to do here. And the same voice came to my head. The Lord said unto Gideon, the people who are with you are too many for me to deliver the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, mine own hand hath saved me. And by this point, I'm like, well, I guess we're going to see something awesome here. And we only spent 3 weeks together, that elder and I. But us two, the weakest, smallest, most insignificant missionaries, we had more success in those 3 weeks than I ever had at any other time in my mission. And it just was another testament to me, like, man, God will oftentimes give us opposition, take away what we have going for us, so that he can perform a miracle. And anyways, that's 3 stories kind of illustrating my life a little bit. And 2 years ago, for that 2024 hailstorm, we were doing a job. Olsen Roofing was doing a job, and it was out of town. It was in Idaho. It was close to where my dad has some property, a ranch. And it was at the end of the summer, and we were kind of like, hey, this is going to be a nice kind of hoorah. We're going to take all our guys there and just bust this job out quick. It was a pretty big job. So we're going to take all our guys there. We're going to stay at the ranch. We're going to have a good time and do this job and then come back. And in the middle of that trip, when we're there, I hear about this hailstorm down in Utah, right? And I'm seeing like news articles, and the networks that I have of roofers are texting and just blowing up about it. And I'm just busy. Like, no, like I'm here. And there's guys who are knocking on doors in the rainstorm right now, in the hailstorm. And I'm just going to be too late on this. And I just felt terrible that I had missed this opportunity, right? But the same principle came, right? Same idea came to my mind of God is making sure that that it's him that's the source of your success when you come back home, because you're not even here to be in the game for the first 4 days of knocking doors, which is kind of crucial, after a hailstorm like that. You want to be the first guy there. Anyways, what happened after that was we had the biggest year we've ever had by far. A lot of it came from a brother I had, and it was an insurance agent actually that had referred us to a customer. And those 2 people had shared our names. And we just got an incredible amount of work from it, like way more than we had ever had before. And certainly God did his miracle, but made it clear to me, hey, this isn't because you were there first knocking on the door. This is because I will provide this for you. Yeah. But anyways, just principles of things that I've learned in my life that have helped me have success in roofing or in other things.
I love that. I don't even know what to say. It's just so wonderful to have that trust. I was thinking about it. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. I'm just enjoying this because it's cool to see that relying on the Lord, especially when you're going through difficulties, right? Or we're concerned about providing for our families, or we're concerned about, because right, it's not like, I don't know. I feel like some people get such a negative, especially because there's so many bad roofers out there that people are, right? Like people that charge way too much or things like that, like the typical, what people usually think about when they think of like door knocking roofers. But right, it's like, no, you're providing for your family. You're relying on the Lord, asking him for help and doing a good job for the people that you're able to do a good job for. And that's all that matters. Right. At the end of the day, like, is if we're doing a good job, doing good for people. I always tell people, do good, be good, get good.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, if I'm doing the best that I can with the opportunities that the Lord places in front of me, that's naturally going to lead to good things coming back to me. Or you can call it karma if you want to call it karma, right? It's
for sure.
Put out good, do good, right? People refer you to people, right? That networking, like you're talking about, like a lot of that is a gift. Because if you're doing good, people will talk. If you stop doing good, people will stop talking about you. Like It's just the way it works.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
And those principles, whether you're a person of faith or not, that is the truth. Like you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
That is an eternal law.
Absolutely. And yeah, just to highlight that, right? I love talking about my religious faith and my love for Jesus Christ. It's one of my fun things I like to talk about on my podcast, even though this is a finance podcast. Like, yeah, part of your money is your faith in God and how you deal with that.
For sure.
But these principles are true principles outside of that, right?
Yes.
Like, do good for people, get good, believe that good is going to come, right? And be willing to, even the stoic principle of the obstacle is the way. We talk about that all the time. It's like, hey, when you see that you're missing opportunities, right? Whether it's the story of Gideon or just having that confidence, faith, belief, however you want to describe it, that, hey, there's an obstacle I'm facing that obstacle will allow me to succeed. Like,
right.
Yeah. Cause you have two options when you hurt your leg when you're wrestling or when you miss a big hailstorm or whatnot. And the options are roll over like a dog and give up or have faith that all things will work out for your benefit.
Right.
I can't remember that scripture off the top of my head, like where the location is, but right. Believe that all things will work together for your benefit. All the difficulties, all the good, all comes together for your benefit. And you're going to succeed because you're going to keep getting back up when life knocks you down. And the only time you truly fail is when you stop getting back up. If not, you've never failed.
Right.
Like that's that's part of my message. That's part of the message of the gospel of Jesus Christ is every time you get knocked down, get back up and give it to God and he'll make more out of it than you possibly could on your own.
Amen. Yeah. He can do a lot more with you than you can by yourself. That's for sure.
Where that is Judges 7:2.
Judges 7:2.
Yeah.
And again, I don't even know why that was one that I had in my arsenal of memorized scriptures, but that theme just kept coming up throughout my life that, he'll make it clear. Sometimes he'll make an obstacle or give you a challenge so that it's clear to you who the source of power is when you're successful in the end.
Yeah. And I'm reminded of, I think it was L. Tom Perry, but I can't remember what, or it was Richard G. Scott. He was talking about how like memorizing scripture verses are like packets of light that you can have for when things get dark or feel dark. And I've had that. I've had little bits and pieces. Like I used to have Romans 8:31 memorized. And I can't remember it right now because it's been so long, but it was basically the lines of, if God be for us, who can be against us?
Yeah.
And I think about it all the time and it's like, God's for me, right? And even non-religiously, right? It's like, hey, karma, like what you're putting out there. So if I'm sowing good, there's no choice but for good to come back to me.
Right.
This is, thanks for sharing that. And
absolutely.
Part of that is you have to be confident that you're doing ethical, good business practices too, right?
Yeah.
Like that calm confidence comes by doing good for people.
Yeah.
If you know that you're doing good, dude, you've already got the best product out there. Right, because you're doing the best. So thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Oh, thanks for the opportunity.
It's real to me too. Wow, I don't even know what I want to ask next. This is just so cool. I'm just vibing in it. Now, if you've had a scripture that has helped you get through dark times, I would love if you could share that in the comments. Share a scripture that you've memorized or that's helped you through something difficult. I would love to share them. In fact, I'll even take a bunch of them, make a list, and share it to my Facebook posts or whatever it is. Cause I love sharing the hopeful optimism, because I get down on myself really hard, right? And obviously I talked earlier about how I struggled with, some depressive stuff that kind of, leaned towards, suicidality. And part of what got me through that was, turning back, because I'd left my faith for a while. I was LDS. I served a mission in New Zealand. In fact, I wear this jade necklace. They call it Pounamu in New Zealand, which means treasure, but it also can mean jade.
Oh, nice.
And there was a guy who he's not religious. He doesn't. I mean, he's Maori. He has his religious gods of the Maori people, not Christian religious. And he did not like us. He did not like Christianity. He doesn't like the Pakia, the Palangi, as they call the white man. But he supported his wife when she said, I want to do this. And his wife had been abused by religious people too. And so I just thought it was super cool when she decided she wanted to get baptized. Her husband made this for me. And I just thought that was so cool, because it's respectful to me. It reminds me, it's like, love the people around you, like even when they're doing different from you. And I don't know, that's something that I'm reminded of constantly, wearing that. And it reminds me of like, wow, like how much faith does he have to, anyways, I'm getting all over the place here, but yeah, having a higher power is important, because it's a motivation to do good in life and in business. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cool. I'll have to add it. I'll add it in the links. Judges 7:2.
It's a random one.
Yeah. Leaning back towards, just more roof questions. I suppose I want to ask more roof questions, or just general stuff. So I did mention this a little bit earlier. Like there are some people that have in their mind that like most roofers that are knocking on their door are scammers, for lack of a better word. Like, and I know I asked a little bit like, what are questions you can be asking people, but what are some things that people might be able to do or ask maybe their insurance agent or the roofer they're working with to like help avoid some of those problems they might come into, like being way overcharged on a roof or something like that. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, when it comes to insurance, we make more money on an insurance job than a regular job. Okay.
Really?
Now, the reason for that is usually we're bidding against 2 or 3 other roofers, and, our pricing has to get a little bit more competitive there. When an insurance company pays for a roof, they use Xactimate, right?
Yep. Xactimate.
And I love Xactimate.
We've talked about that before.
we like the Xactimate rates. But a lot of times I'll have homeowners who have an insurance claim, but they'll still want to like create a bidding war, right? And I'm kind of like, there's really no purpose for this, because what your price of your roof is the price of your deductible, right?
Yeah.
So if you bid this out and say you have someone who comes in and they're $2,000 less than Xactimate. Xactimate assesses your roof at $20,000. You get a bid for $18,000. Your deductible is $1,000. When you finish that roof and you send the invoice onto your insurance, they're going to pay you out $17,000 instead of the 18 or 19 they would have paid out. And you're going to end up paying $1,000 either way, right?
Yeah, you're paying that, or your $2,500 deductible,
or whatever your deductible is, right?
Deductible
and
is.
so sometimes I think that's kind of funny. It's just a lack of understanding of how that works, right? When there's not an Xactimate bid, when there's not an insurance involved and it's just an out-of-pocket bid, then I certainly would say get a couple bids, just because how would you know whether you're getting screwed or not, right?
Estimates.
And so that kind of keeps you honest. We just barely bid one, man. This guy got a bid, and he got a bid for $90-something thousand, right? Wow. And this is through one of our guys, one of our foremen, his friend, it's his dad. Anyways, he got a bid for $90,000. And our foreman called me and said, hey, this seems crazy, right? I said, yeah, send me the measurements or send me the address. We'll pull measurements. And I was like, did they give him like a metal roof bid or something? Because this is like a $40,000 roof, right? It's a big house. Don't get me wrong, but it's not a $90,000 roof house, right? Anyways, and so I don't know how someone can get away with doing stuff like that, but had they not called us or reached out to us, how would they know, right? Yeah. How would they know where the market is and what's a fair price for that? And so that's what I say with that. If it's insurance, find the guy you like. You want to use every dime of that Xactimate stuff, because if your roofer's making money, they're going to do a better job, right? If they're not making money, your job goes to the bottom of the list. They're going to try to squeeze it in because they're going to focus on those jobs that are making money, right?
Yeah.
They're going to use better products. They're going to have more time, and they're not going to hesitate to do things the right way when they're making good money on the job. There's no corners being cut, right?
Yeah.
Not that you should be cutting corners if it's a cheaper job, but I know that when I know that we're making good money on a job, I feel a lot more at peace of like, okay, well, there's something that came up. There's not really any reason to give a change order. We're making enough on it. It's okay. We'll just absorb that.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Versus if it's, if we had bid this by the skin of our teeth or won it by the skin of our teeth, then it's like, well, we've got some rotten wood here. We need to add this to the bid.
You need to replace some trusses or something like
exactly.
that. It's like, hey, we didn't know this until we tore the roof off.
Right.
Looks like you do need this. Probably should be done because there's water damage or something underneath.
And that's the nice thing about when there's an insurance job. It's not going to cost customers a cent more.
I can say, hey, look, there's more damage. We need to pay for this.
Right. It's not going to cost them a cent more. Their price is the deductible price.
Yeah. And I'll say this. A lot of people are like worried. It's like, oh, well, if I can get it cheaper, it's not going to rate against me as much. Insurance companies don't care. If you have a $30,000 roof claim or a $20,000 roof claim or an $8,000 roof claim,
it's one claim.
Your insurance company says one claim and they're going to surcharge just as much. Right. They don't care. They a lot of insurance companies will even do percentage based things. It's like, oh, you had one roof claim, that's a 28% surcharge or 18% surcharge or whatever, right? It's like, who cares if they paid $8,000 or $15,000 for that damage? You're still going to get surcharged the same amount from the insurance company. Now, the only time it might matter if you have like a bunch of, like, let's say a homeowner has 3 claims in 3 years and they're getting non-renewed and they're shopping, trying to find a high risk carrier that'll place them with having 3 claims. Yeah. At that point, sometimes the dollar amount can matter. But I've had times where someone has 2 $65,000 claims, and I've had times where people have 2 $6,000 claims, and it's just as hard to find insurance and it's just as expensive because it's about how many claims you've had, not how big they're. So that's my thought to you. Doesn't matter. But that's great to know, right? Like, I think the biggest thing to protect consumers is either let your insurance company deal with it if the insurance company is doing it. Like, a lot of insurance companies have a preferred roofer list, or ask your agent, right? I have all the time where people say, hey, I need a plumber for this. And I'm like, oh, well, here's 3 people I've worked with many times over the last 7 years. And I'll even tell them, in addition to these 3, I know 2 of them are on the preferred carrier list for your insurance company. This one I don't know. Ask them if you use them, or when you file the claim, ask them, they'll give you a list. They'll say, here's the people we like. And using someone on the preferred list is nice because then they have to guarantee their work. There's more recourse you have if something goes wrong or something falls apart a month afterwards. And usually it's not someone being malicious, right? Like, maybe they missed a bolt when they're putting on a shingle, right? Like, it's easy for humans to make mistakes, but it's easier for the insurance company to go back and say, hey, you need to go and fix this because it wasn't done right. Than if you're doing it personally. But also getting 3 bids. That's the second thing I'd say. If you're getting something replaced not using insurance, I mean, same thing for buying a car. I bought a used Prius that was branded and salvaged. It had been totaled twice by insurance companies. It was imported from Washington, Utah. Washington brings a lot of cars that have been branded to Utah, by the way. So if you want a branded car, half the time it's from Washington. Washington State, that is. Sorry. Not Washington, D.C. My Washington Staters. Yeah, let's go. But I took it to 3 mechanics before buying it. I'm like, getting 3 estimates helps because the first 2 said nothing wrong. One of them noted, oh, it looks like there's an aftermarket bumper on the front. And there was, because it had been totaled and the bumper was replaced. First one didn't even note that. Not that they were being malicious. They just probably missed it. Right. Or it wasn't vital. It's like the car still runs. Like, why do we need to note that there's an aftermarket bumper? One of them said there's aftermarket bumper. The third one, and they said, it looks like the battery in the back, because Priuses have 2 batteries. They have a starter battery that's in the back just for starting because it is an EV, hybrid. And then it's got the normal battery in the front. And he's like, it's giving me some signals that it might be dying. It might die at like 80,000 miles. Normally they last about 100 to 120. Right. And I was like, cool, I'm going to buy the car. All 3 mechanics say there's nothing really wrong with it. It's a battery. It's almost like one of those batteries you put in a riding lawnmower, right? It's like, who cares? Like, they're like $400. And literally, like clockwork, it died at almost exactly 80,000 miles. Paid $500 to replace the battery. Yeah. The car is great. Well, I sold it to my dad when I got my Tesla, and my sister crashed it and totaled it immediately. But that's okay, because we still kept the car after it was totaled for a 3rd time, and now my other sister drives it. Great car, little Prius, gets 45 miles. But like, especially with a roof claim, it's way more big of a deal than a $6,000 used car, right? It's like, dude, if you're spending $20,000, get 3 bids, because one of them might be that guy that bidded 90, and maybe it would have cost them 90,000. Maybe that was a fair price by their estimate. Maybe they were being malicious. I don't want to assume maliciousness that it could be attributed to just ignorance or something, right? Like, or maybe the guy that did a $90,000 bid found other damage underneath that the 40 that they missed, right? Maybe it's like, hey, not only are we doing your roof, we're also replacing 16 trusses in your roof that have been damaged, right? Like, right? Maybe someone misses it, because I've had that happen before where you take, anyways, right? Like, there's a lot to it.
For sure.
So get 3 bids. It'll always protect you to get 3 bids.
Keep them honest.
Yeah, it keeps everyone honest. And you never know what someone else might miss, right? Like, hey, maybe the first guy missed something, or maybe something comes up afterwards. Like, but don't let someone get, that's the other thing. If you do have insurance, don't let someone get started on the roof before you file the insurance claim. Because I've actually seen claims get denied for that. And it pissed the person off, and the roofing company was like, I've never, and I'm like, it was probably one of the more shady companies. Yeah. The insurance just straight up denied it. They're like, we have no way to verify the loss occurred. Right. There's no photos. We weren't able to. A lot of insurance companies have a clause that says we reserve the right to inspect your roof before non-mitigatory damage is repaired. Right. Non-mitigatory means, right, if you're having a hailstorm and the roof partially rips off, yes, we will obviously pay the cost for someone to go shingle that up or tarp it up temporary, so that you don't get water damage leaking, right? Like, obviously we're going to cover that.
And all that stuff, I mean, that has to be done. If you're doing it insurance, they have the cards, they get to decide the rules, they're paying for it, which is fair. And so
they want to inspect it.
You have to have that document. I mean, if there's damage that is going to be an immediate threat, they'll cover that. They'll cover doing an emergency tarp or whatever. But you have to document all that and leave it such that the adjuster can come and find out
and verify
what actually happened and what the damage is.
Yeah. Oh, and I had a roof adjuster come on recently on the podcast, TJ, and we were talking about that, and he talked about fraud that happened right in front of him. This guy, the hail damage marks weren't matching up with the damage on the roof, like the way the granule loss was, which I'm no expert on this. TJ
they looked like a hammer mark.
No. He's climbing down the ladder and looks up, because the roofer's there with him. The guy has golf balls, half golf balls strapped to the bottom of his shoe. So he's just digging his foot into the roof in certain parts. And it sort of looks like hail damage, but it didn't match up the angles and the granular loss and stuff like this. Doesn't look like hail damage. It kind of does. Yeah. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, so anyways, it was a whole thing.
That's funny.
But it's important to document, because yes, like TJ was saying, he has to look at your roof, make diagrams, make a story that shows, look, there was a hailstorm on this day, this direction from the wind at this velocity, and the damage on this roof is consistent with that hailstorm, the direction. And if they're seeing it from 5 different directions, it's like, this roof's been damaged for 20 years by other hailstorms. We're not covering it because it was already damaged enough. And I've had people get upset about that. And they're like, well, why is my insurance not covering it? I'm like, I don't know usually. Ask the inspector that did the inspection, and they might be, oh, well, clearly there's damage from 25 years of other hailstorms and events. This roof was already not a good roof before. And I've seen, and I don't know your situation, but it's good to know that, yes, your insurance has to look at it before, because they want to make sure it's a covered loss. And if you get your roof put on and then suddenly they're not willing to pay it, you may have signed a contract with the roofer that says you're paying, even though, I actually had something like that happen with my dad when I was a kid. So I'm very fuzzy on the story, but a roofer kind of came, it was like, this was probably in the late 90s. Yeah. And they're like, hey, we can get this covered by insurance. Insurance decided that part of the roof wasn't actually damaged after they inspected it. They inspected it, and then they did the repairs before the insurance company came back or something, but they inspected it first. And so then they came back and said, hey, we're not covering it. They tried to say, oh, well, you need to pay the rest because we still replaced the roof. And my dad's like,
so they had replaced the roof before the insurance had decided what they were
inspected it. Before,
but they hadn't sent out
the estimate saying, here's what's covered, because only part of it was damaged. Like, this part was clearly fine. We only want to pay for this portion. And so the roofing company at first was sending bills saying, you owe us the rest of the money. My dad's like, I had a contract with the guy that knocked on my door. I've got an email of it and a signed copy that said they were doing this guarantee. It's like, if the insurance doesn't pay for it, we won't charge you.
Right.
And so after they saw that, they were like, oh yeah, which I doubt any roofing company does that nowadays. But I remember hearing that story a million times growing up. It's like, oh, it was so cool, this roofing company. Yeah. They didn't charge me the extra $3,000 or whatever because they had it in the contract I signed that if the insurance doesn't, because they were just trying to do it as fast as possible. Like, we want to do the work as fast as possible. So if we end up messing up and not getting paid, it's on us. Like, cool. So, he got several thousand, but you never know what you're signing, which is why my dad signed that contract. He's like, I've never actually gone with a door-to-door roof company before because I've never filed a home claim before. But anyways, that was fascinating. Well, cool. Okay, we're running a little bit short on time because this is too cool.
You're good. I'm having a good time, man.
This is great. Which I'm fine with going a little bit later if you're okay with it. Whatever. Wow. I don't know. I don't even know what else I should ask you. Is there anything else you want to dive into or interesting, like, I don't know, useful things for homeowners that they should know about their roof? Maybe is there maintenance that you should have on your roof every year? Like, I know if you have like a wood shake shingle roof, which very few people have, like you should be putting linseed oil on it every single year, right? So, like anything you should be doing with a normal shingle roof? As
far as like asphalt shingles, not really. Not here in Utah. I mean, you can clean out your gutters, which I would recommend doing, just because I've seen where gutters will fill up, or if you get like a big ice dam, it'll crawl back up underneath the shingles. But really,
not a lot.
Wood shingle and cedar shake roofs, we don't sell many of those, and it's for that reason. You know, it's super expensive, but also it's like, why would you give you such a chore every year?
And it's more flammable.
It is, yeah.
A lot of insurance companies won't even insure them anymore. I have 3 carriers that are like, they non-renewed everyone that had a wood shake shingle. Bear River was one of them.
Really?
Yeah, they won't insure them anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame them. It's
State
just,
Auto won't, but they left the state.
There's some, it's funny, there's some HOAs where we've done jobs where we have to like pull teeth to be able to get a designer shingle approved instead of a cedar shake roof, because it's what they have in that HOA. But yeah, I wouldn't put a cedar shake roof on my own house is what I would say. So
you heard it here. Don't do it. If roofers won't do it, you shouldn't.
They look kind of awesome sometimes, but I don't know that it's worth it.
Would you put a metal roof on your own house?
Absolutely. I would put a metal roof on my own house.
They're expensive. Anytime I go, I like look on Zillow for a potential house where I'm like, oh, look, that's 7 acres, you know, out in Genola. And I want to, because my goal ultimately is to farm. I think it'd be fun to have like raise and butcher my own pigs.
That'd be sweet.
I don't know why. I just have a passion about like eating real food, and like I want to grow my own garden. But anyways, that'll happen eventually.
That's right.
Once I get 3,000 clients, if you need your insurance, I'm the guy.
And you'll put a metal roof on that farmhouse.
But a lot of them have metal roofs. Like a lot of those like old, because it's like, it was probably like, oh, I'm going to live here for the next 40 years. So why not? But you're right. If you're your normal home and you're like, I'm planning to sell this, why do that? Right. It's not gonna make you more money when you sell your house to have a metal roof. But I always look at that. Like if I'm looking to buy a house, I'm like, oh, they have a metal roof. That's cool.
And as far as anything else, I mean, to what you were saying, what did you say? What was the phrase you said earlier? Do good,
be good, do good, be good, get good.
Do good, be good, get good. I have noticed, and I guess this is less so for homeowners, more so for business owners or anyone selling something. When I go in and approach it as, how can I serve this person? Like, what is the service I can provide for this person? How can I benefit them? The money takes care of itself, right? Like the good comes.
Yeah. And
I've noticed that when I'm not that way, you know, sometimes I'll be, you know, greedy or something like that, and you don't win those, right? And so I've learned over time, like, man, literally just all you need to do is seek to serve, figure out what their problem is, and you need to listen and understand what the issue is and how they can be served best, and then solve that problem. And then the money will come.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, so here's something I always say, there's 2 different ways to look at any job, right? Like I could say, oh yeah, I'm an insurance. I go to the office, I answer phones, right? I do insurance quotes for people. Or there's a second way you can look at it, right? Where it's like, this isn't just a job. Like I'm helping people feel that they're safe.
Yeah.
I will understand where they're not covered. I help people, right? And like going that gives so much more purpose, because I'm like, I'm helping this person understand what their insurance doesn't do. Like a lot of people will have, oh, this insurance, my last policy didn't cover this event that happened. And I'm like, oh, well, let me educate you.
Yeah.
No insurance policy is going to cover that.
Yeah.
Right. If it rained for 3 days and your basement flooded, not even flood insurance covers that, right? Like there is literally not an insurance policy on earth you can get that would cover that.
Right.
So you need to worry about grading your land. Maybe you need anyways.
That's why I insure my properties with you. That's
I'm willing to take the time to do that with anyone. In fact, I have some people that live in Arizona and up in Idaho, and I don't insure those places. I'm not licensed in those places. And they still send me their policy every year to be like, hey, does my coverage look right? And I'm totally fine to do that. You know, I prefer to do it when it's friends, but you're my friend.
Yeah.
And I have no problem doing that, because I'm like, hey, do good, be good, get good. Like someone's going to have their mother move to Utah and they'll be like, oh, you got to go get Jacob. Yeah. You know, like he helps me and I don't even live in Utah, right? Or they're going to graduate from BYU, Idaho and move down to Provo because that's where their friends are or whatever. That's where their wife is or whatever it is. It comes around, you know, and good will always come from it. So just do good for people. So there's a different way you can think about how you're doing your job, from anything from working at a call center to running a roofing company. And there's a right way, or there's a better way. There's and when you do that, you'll find better ways to serve those people, right? It's like, hey, if I'm thinking about this, I'm going to be more cognitive. What would I want someone to tell me if I was in their shoes? Like, what do I want them to be aware of if I was buying insurance? Because I I have situations all the way from people like not understanding what a deductible is to people that are like, hey, I already know insurances. I've had claims. Like, I want to make sure this is covered. Yeah. Oh, well, do you also know that maybe this is like one of the newer things that's come around is buried utility lines coverage. A lot of people have no idea what that is. Buried utility lines coverage. Said bird. I was like, buried utility lines. Like a lot of people are like, oh, well, if it's damaged and it's on my property, it should be mine. Like if I have a water main or a sewage line, a lot of companies, that sewage line, until it enters your house, even though it's on your property, you don't own it.
Right.
It's owned by the utility company. But if your sewage line collapses because it's 50 years old, and that just, sometimes they get old and they weren't maintained properly, which who maintains those? The company might come in and say, oh, well, that's not covered by your insurance. You don't own that. You don't have an insurable interest. Like, what do you mean I don't have insurable interest? It's on my property.
Right.
Well, you don't own it. It's owned by. So buried utility lines is a newer thing. It's only in the last like 10, 15 years
that you can get insurance on them? You can get insurance.
Oh, sweet. You can add it to your homeowner's policy, and it usually only covers $10,000.
We need to talk, Jacob.
Yeah.
I had a huge sewage backup on a rental in Orem once, and it was because of that, right? Insurance didn't cover doing any of the repairs on the line itself. They did cover everything in the basement, obviously.
And that's called water sewage backup.
Right.
So some people are like, oh, well, I have water sewage coverage. Shouldn't that cover it? I'm like, no, that's only the water that comes through that and damages your house on the inside. But actually repairing the line, if
which we had to pay $10,000 to dig it up.
So I love having those. Or a lot of people just assume like earthquake is part of their insurance. I'm like, no, earthquake's its own thing.
Right.
Or flood insurance. They're like, oh, well, what about like my basement flooded? Well, if it's a pipe that breaks, that's called water damage. And that's obviously covered by insurance. But if it's, hey, there's more water runoff this year, which won't happen this year because we're in a drought basically. Or the lake levels went up and that caused water table to rise in your basement, flooded from that hypostatic water that's on the outside of your home. Don't know why it's called hypostatic, but that's what it's called. That's flood, and normal homeowners insurance doesn't cover flooding. In fact, you could only get flood insurance from the government up until July of 2022. So it's only been less than 4 years. They changed the law, and now private insurance companies can offer flood insurance. Before that, you could only get it through the National Flood Insurance Program, NFIP, which is a government thing. And you can still get it. Actually, not right now because there's a moratorium because the government hasn't funded it, right? Government shutdown, which means you can't get flood insurance right now except through a private carrier, and it's cheaper through private insurance. But I'm one of a lot of agents don't offer flood insurance. So I have people that call me like, my agent told me to call you to get flood insurance. So that happens sometimes too.
That's cool.
But yeah, so it's fun to educate people just because people don't know, right? They shouldn't need to know, right? Like I was talking with a real estate agent recently about types of insurance policies they need for the rentals. He's like, oh, I need to remember that. I'm like, no, you don't. When you have an insurance question, just call your agent and say, hey, I have a rental property I need. It's like, oh yeah, like you don't need to know, oh, I need a DP3 versus an HO3 or an HO5 or whatever. It's like, no, just get a trusted professional. Like, dude, I don't need to know anything about roofs.
That's how I feel. All I need is your phone number for the properties you guys insure for me. When something comes up, I'm not going to dig through that. I'm just going to call Jacob. That's all there is.
Well, I tell people to do that. It's like, you don't need to know all that. Just have someone you trust. And if not, get a new agent. Like I have people that are already with Bear River or with Travelers or company I trust with, and they're just like, I can't get a hold of my agent. Cool, switch it over. I have you sign a form and I can do it. And then I reevaluate. I had a guy recently I reevaluated, and we found out that one of his vehicles had his business logo on it and all that. I'm like, you can't have that on a personal policy. I'm sorry to tell you, it's 3 times the price on a commercial policy, but you need to be on a commercial policy or you'll get in an accident. And I've seen claims denied because you've got a giant logo for your business on the side of your car and you're driving to clients' houses with all of your gear in the back. It's like, that's commercial. That's not personal anymore. Like, so I'm more than happy to tell people, hey, I'm so sorry. Go check with 2 other agents to make sure I'm not lying to you, but you need a commercial policy and it's 3 times as expensive, but it's better for you. Yeah. Anyways, we're running low on time. I want to move to segment 5, if you're okay with it.
Please.
Sweet. This has been fun. If you're having fun, leave a little heart emoji. Is that silly to ask? Yeah, it's fun. We're fun. I'm awkward and proud of it. My wife and we always say, be cringy for Christ.
Oh yeah.
That's our little logo. Whenever it's like worried about, I have a, like whatever feeling to take my neighbor dinner or whatever. It's like, what if they, always something.
Cringy for Christ.
Be cringy for Christ. It's okay to do good like That's Jesus. Awesome. Okay. Segment 5 is ask Jacob a question. So this is a question that I got from one of my clients just the other day. Well, this is like a month ago, but I thought it was super important to share. And feel free to chime in on this. Jacob, I got in a car accident in a parking lot. And I always encourage you, if you get in a car accident, to always call the police and get a police report. But this is what happened. The cop says it was minimal, so they talked me out of filing a police report. The damage ended up being over $4,000, and insurance is asking for a police report. What should have I done differently? And this is where I hate everyone. I hate the insurance companies. I hate the insurance agents. I hate the cops. Love good insurance agents. I love good cops. But in my opinion, always get a police report. If you are in a car accident, here's the 4 things I recommend. Ready? Here's the 4 things you do. First, always get a police report. Second, always get a police report. Okay, it's going to be different now, I promise. Third, no, I'm just kidding. Third is get photos of everything, right? Get photos of license plates, get photos of insurance cards, get photos of driver's license if you can. Get photos of where it happened, because sometimes there'll be disputes afterwards like, oh no, I was in the intersection, not them. And it's like, I have a photo of my car literally in the intersection, like after it got hit. Like, right? Get photos of everything you can, and then never admit fault. I had a situation where someone bumped into someone else in a McDonald's drive-thru, and they were deemed to be at fault because they got out of their car, they offered the other person $100, and then they got in their car and fled the scene. So they also got a misdemeanor for fleeing the scene of an accident, but they also were found to be at fault because they admitted fault by offering the other person money. That's a way of admitting fault, and that's what the lawyers proved in court is he admitted fault by offering the person money, and they weren't even at fault. They weren't even at fault. It was a 50-50 thing. One was backing, the other was driving forward, and he just freaked out. So that's what you should do if you're in a car accident is get a police report, take photos of everything, never admit fault. And that's the reason why is you might not know. Maybe for some weird reason you're not at fault. So don't do it. Let your insurance company figure that out. So this situation was also more difficult because this specific one for getting hit in a parking lot, the other vehicle was a commercial truck. And they didn't want to give her insurance information. And then they ended up leaving. And the only reason they were able to prove the loss is because she had photos of the vehicle. There was photos of her vehicle showing the damage. It matched up with the marks on the truck that she'd taken a photo of, even though he left the scene. This is a different one than the drive-through situation. This is this specific one my client asked me. That was over $4,000 in damage. But getting a police report made it harder for her. It made the insurance take months because they wanted to reach out because they had the license plate to that truck. They found the insurance company. They went through the insurance company, all this stuff. And it took months to settle before she was able to get her car repaired by insurance. She ended up doing it out of pocket, and then insurance, she filed a claim because she had full coverage and then got reimbursed after they went through and the other company finally made it fault. But I've seen claims denied because people didn't get a police report and there's no proof it happened. So getting a police report is super, super vital. And if the police refuses to come like this and they say, oh, it was in a parking lot, oh, it's minimal, you just barely bumped each other, whatever, you don't need a police report, call the non-emergency line and at least file an oral report. Hey, this happened here. I was involved in an incident with this vehicle. Here was the license plate number. Like get a filing report at least. Like you can do that even if the cops won't come to the scene, because that establishes when it happened and that you cared enough to file a claim, and that will just save you headaches later. So yeah. And then obviously, I suppose if there was an extra step, file a claim with your insurance in a tidy manner. This is another one. I don't know if you have thoughts on any of this.
I like the police report.
Yeah, the police report. It's step 1 and step 2 for a reason, because I really never know. But here's the other one is be timely. A lot of insurance companies have a statute of limitations. I don't know if that's the legal term for it, but think of it as the same way. You have to file a claim within a year of the event. We had some people, even for the roofing situations, they tried to file a claim in August of 2025. The event that happened was on August 13th of 2024. If it was a day after, they were just denied on summarily. It's like, nope, this is outside. Your policy clearly states you need to file within 1 year of the event occurring. Because if not, there's too much, we can't tell what happened anymore. Or it's not clear. It's like, was this something else? Was there? So make sure you file on a claim. But I've seen it with auto claims too, where people wait 6 months and then it's like, oh, well, what actually happened? You're not getting your story straight. You said you had a witness and they're saying something different happened. And I've actually seen auto claims denied where someone hit something in a parking lot. And it's like, this sounds like insurance fraud. Right? There wasn't a police report. We don't have photos. You don't remember the exact date that it occurred. Just there's damage and you forgot about it. And now you're taking it to an auto body shop to double check. And it's, oh, you're out of alignment and your tires might explode. Or there's damage to your radiator and you've been driving for like 6 months and that made the damage worse. You have a duty to mitigate loss, both for roofs and for auto claims. So anyways, that's a lot. But again, reminder, get a police report. Take photos of everything, never admit fault, and talk to your insurance company in a timely manner, or else you might get a claim denied for that. So hopefully that's useful. Hopefully that answers your question. Thanks for sharing it and letting me share it. I don't know, you have any follow-ups on that? Concerns? Cool.
That's out of my realm there.
Yeah. Well,
but I like your expertise.
Have you ever seen a roof claim be denied?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to hear about that.
Yes. I mean, roof claims get denied a lot. A lot of times it's not associated with a storm. It's an older roof and they're trying to get the insurance to pay for it. We'll go.
It's like your roof's just old. Sorry. That's just not a covered loss.
It's just old. And so the adjuster will come and they'll say, well, there's no clear hail damage here. This is blistering. This is wear and tear. I have had insurance claims denied that I felt should not have been denied though.
Same.
Yeah. I'm sure we can all share that story, but where I went and I thought, well, this is clearly hail damage and, you know, all of their neighbors have it too. And I understand adjusters will come and they'll say, well, I don't care what their neighbors have. They're not insured by us and hail's weird. But you know, if I'm looking at pock marks on it and their neighbors have it, I'm like, I don't have to be a rocket scientist to tell that this is clearly hail damage. But you know, some guys are kind of funny and we do our best, but there's ways to move past that too. If the first adjuster denies it, we can get another pair of eyes on it. And I've had those approved over time as well. And
have you ever worked with a public adjuster?
Yeah, they're the best. I love them.
Dude, it's crazy.
They're so awesome.
I had a claim last year, full roof replacement.
Yeah.
And the claim made the insurance company literally change their policy language for the entire state of Utah.
Oh, really?
This was just last year, 2025.
Okay. Yeah.
And I won't state the name of the company because I don't want them to get mad at me.
Yeah.
But this roof was denied and they said, oh, this isn't whatever the reason why. It was like, your policy says this and the type of damage isn't covered. They got a public adjuster and it was deemed that that part of the policy was invalid.
Oh, really?
Like the way it was worded was broad enough and right because the insurance company writes the contract, anything that's not clear always has to side with the person that signed the contract because you didn't prepare the contract, right? If someone signs the contract and says, oh, if you get injured and that means breaking your arm or breaking your leg, right, then we're going to pay for the medical bill. Oh, well, you didn't break your arm or leg, you broke your finger, right? And they might say, well, your finger is part of your arm, right?
Yeah.
So if it's not super clear by the language, they always have to liberalize to the person who signed the contract because they could have put that in the contract,
that's
right?
Interesting.
So that's part of contract law, which interesting. I'd love to get a lawyer to chime in on that.
Yeah.
But if there's anything, and so the public adjuster was like, this is not clear. You're saying it's not covered because of this. And again, I don't know the exact details. And they said, you're basically wrong. And I will gladly take this to court if you're not willing to pay for it. Right. And it was like 3 months of back and forth.
Really?
And then the insurance company ended up paying for the roof completely. And then we got an update for every single one of our clients. Yeah. And we got a huge underwriting memo and it was like, hey, everyone in Utah, the policy language is being updated on all renewals and all policies written after this date. Here's the new language around roofs. Okay. Because of that. So don't be afraid to push. Obviously, if you hire a public adjuster, you're paying out of pocket, even if they don't get you anything. So be careful. And also, they usually take a certain percentage. Like this public adjuster took like 20 or 25% of the cost. So they still had to pay out of pocket to get the roof replaced. But it ended up, it was like $70,000. It was an expensive. It's like an 8,000 square foot home. Right. Very expensive roof. But it's like, hey, it was worth it because they got the roof replaced when before they were just denied. So feel free to push. And I've done that too. I've had times where I push against companies being like, dude, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not a professional, but yeah, get a second opinion. Push it. Yeah. Push your luck. What's the worst that can happen? The insurance company says no still. Yeah. I hate insurance companies and I work for them. Cool. Okay. Plug. I want to let you plug yourself. So if someone's listening to this and they're like, wow, Silas is a great guy. I want to get my roof checked out by him or whatever. How can people find you?
Yeah, give us a call. I mean, Olsen Roofing, we have a Google page, we have Instagram, we have a Facebook page.
And Olsen, O-L-S-E-N.
O-L-S-E-N Roofing, yep. Every other roofer, if you have them do it, they'll burn your house down and your roof will leak.
Exactly. And, the only roofer in the state of Utah.
We're actually the only ones who will do it right.
Everyone else can't even lift a hammer properly.
No, but I mean,
humble.
Exactly. Our competitive edge is just we answer the phone, we speak English, we'll talk to you. I've got teeth in my mouth. I like to use that one a lot. But no, we're good guys. We do good work. We've been doing it for a long time. And we're quick. I think it's important to respond to people quickly and communicate with them. And
tell them when they can expect things to be done.
Yep, absolutely. Paint a picture for them.
Yeah.
Make it a pleasure to work with them.
People will have like anything. And it's like, I've been trying to get so-and-so to do this for 3 weeks. Yeah. Like, when can I expect to be done? We will have it done by this time. Just tell them and then do it.
Yeah. It's nice. Like and this is one last story. I was in a dental prep class in college, actually. I had studied microbiology because I thought about going into dentistry or medicine or something like that. Anyways, I was in a dental prep class and I learned the most amazing principle for customer service and business from this endodontist. He said, when you come in, or when you're a dentist and someone comes into your office, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it kind of matters, but not that much how great of a dentist you are, or how nice you can carve up a tooth or do that work and how long it lasts. The most important thing that your customers will notice is how much it hurts, how good you are at giving the anesthesia, right? So that's the only thing they're going to rate you on. That's the only thing they're going to tell your friends on, because they don't know anything about dentistry. They don't know what you're doing inside. All they care about is how bad it hurt or how good you are at giving the anesthesia, right? And I've applied that in roofing. I'm like, man, we are doing some masterful work up here on a complicated cricket, or we're weaving this way and we're doing this flashing perfectly. The customer has no idea.
They have no clue.
They don't know anything about that. They don't care about that. What they care about is how well you respond to questions or problems and how clean the ground is, right? That's your anesthesia as a roofer.
There's shingles all over my yard.
Exactly.
Blah, blah, blah.
That's the things they notice. And so we're going to do the stuff right on the roof, but we're going to pay attention to those things that are the anesthesia as a dentist. This is the only thing the homeowner notices, and that's what you got to do right. So
much.
It does. That's how you get referrals.
People care about how they feel.
Yeah.
That's why I always emphasize on this. It's like, you need to create a good emotional experience for the end user. And even if your product sucks, which obviously your product doesn't, people will choose you over someone else,
right?
Because
it's true.
It's easier if you're easier to work with.
Yeah.
Like, I know stories. I've had situations where people have left me to go somewhere else, and they call me 6 months later and they're like, oh my gosh, my renewal, I can't get a hold of my agent, blah, blah, blah. I've been trying to add a car.
Yeah.
And they'll come back, even though I've had times where my policy's been like $100 a month more expensive for auto insurance. I'm like, you're going to pay more, like $1,200 a year to be with me instead of your agent, your new agent that you found that was cheaper than me. And they're like, I don't care, because you guys pick up your phone.
I can get a hold of you. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to add my 16-year-old kid.
So true.
And they weren't added, and it's been 6 months, and now it's a whole thing because my kid got in an accident, and it's this whole thing where I have to prove that I told my insurance agent and they just didn't do it, and blah, blah. I just want I want the headache to go away.
Right.
And that's worth $1,000.
Yeah.
Like, that totally makes sense.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, this is awesome. Well, for everyone listening, remember to like and subscribe for more Financial Ginger content. There'll be another video somewhere over here so you can click on if you want to keep listening to more. And again, check out Silas. Just a reminder, his Instagram is Silas, SILAS _Olsen _roofing, or just at Olsen Roofing. And yeah, let them come give you a bid next time you need your roof done. It'll be great.
Right on.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jacob.
It's been a party.
It's been a pleasure.